Before we begin, I'm trying to reach 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year to make all these special videos, so if you like the content here, please consider subscribing to help fulfill Project 10K. Thank you. Now on to the video. Hello everybody, and welcome back to My Thoughts, a series where I give my thoughts on the latest Cars news, and today, unfortunately, we have some pretty sad news. A few days ago, on September 4th, it was suddenly announced out of nowhere that the Cars attraction, Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Walt Disney World in Florida, will be closing on October 7th of this year permanently to make way for a new Disney Villains-themed show. Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy opened up back in 2019 in Hollywood Studios, and it features a pretty impressive Lightning McQueen animatronic hosting a racing academy. There's a big screen behind him that shows original animated content. The show runs for about 10 minutes and is played several times a day, of course. I was actually never able to experience this show. As much as I love the Disney parks and my family goes to them every few years, we haven't been to Disney World since 2018, the year before this show opened, and I was really looking forward to seeing it the next time I went to the parks, but I guess that's never going to happen now, huh? As a fan of Cars, I'm disappointed. This is a Cars-themed experience closing, one that I was never able to see and will never be able to see. As a fan of the Disney parks as a whole, I honestly don't really mind all that much. McQueen's Racing Academy, from what I've seen, doesn't seem to be the most substantial thing ever, right? It would be awful if they closed, like, Cars Land. But this, to me, is just a car show with an impressive McQueen animatronic that is closing down to make way for the next thing Disney wants to make. That's just the way it goes with the Disney parks, and, you know, I could go off all day about rides I wish they'd kept open but they closed, or shows that I wish they'd kept but they didn't. It really doesn't matter to me. It's just how the Disney parks work. It's how running a theme park like that realistically works. Every once in a while, they're going to replace things, update things, cycle through, and as a Disney parks fan, you get used to it, and it's often something exciting to see new things coming and taking the place of older things. It's just sad that this was a Cars thing, and I'm such a big Cars fan, and I wasn't able to experience it. I wouldn't consider myself a big Disney Villains fan, but the concept art they showed off for the new show looks insanely cool and pretty hardcore. Looks like a lot more effort was put into designing this than with McQueen's Racing Academy. I'm sure it'll turn out great. All things considered, I really don't mind the closure of McQueen's Racing Academy because we're getting an entire mini Cars Land in Florida coming very soon. I find it kind of weird to close the only Cars attraction in Florida right when they're gonna start construction on the Cars section pretty soon. Like, it would be nice to keep the McQueen's Racing Academy show alive for a little bit longer and then close it down when the Cars Land is almost done, so that we're not going several years without any Cars experiences in Florida, but whatever. What I find especially weird, though, is that the Disney Villains are getting their own land. That was announced at D23 alongside the new Cars area in Florida. So it's kind of strange to replace Cars, which is getting its own section in the park, with Villains, who are also getting their own section in the park. Like, what's going to happen to the Disney Villains show several years from now? Are they going to close it? Are they going to relocate it to the Villain Land and then turn Racing Academy into something else? Will Racing Academy come back? I don't know. It's interesting that this is the topic they chose. You know, this is the theme they chose. Replacing one thing that's getting its own section with another thing that's getting its own section. Maybe, I assume it's being done to build up hype for the Villain Land, but the Villain Land is going to be made after the Cars section, so why not keep McQueen's Racing Academy until the Cars section is done, then close it, replace it with the Villain show when you're working on Villain Land? Now, Disney didn't officially disclose why they're choosing to close and replace McQueen's Racing Academy. I think the best theory I've heard came from Pop Culture Fan 03 over on my Discord server, who speculates that they'll be moving the McQueen animatronic made for this ride into the new Cars ride coming to Magic Kingdom. I think that's a pretty good theory. Honestly, I think that's a pretty safe bet. I have a feeling we'll see this McQueen animatronic there when that opens up. Look, I'm not Disney. I don't know how the pricing and the building and all of this works, but maybe Disney found it would be better to just close down Racing Academy and move the McQueen than it would be to fully rebuild the McQueen and keep Racing Academy running. At the end of the day, they're a company after all. They're going to be making the decisions that they think are best for them financially, and best for them as a business. And on that note, I will say, I don't know if Racing Academy was popular. You know, like, I'm sure it was fine. I never went there, so I can't really gauge its popularity. As a Disney Parks fan, I don't really hear other Parks fans or Disney Parks YouTubers or anything that I watch talking about Racing Academy. You know, I don't really hear all that much about it. It's kind of tucked away in the back of Hollywood Studios. It, to me, from what I've seen, isn't the most significant thing ever to Disney Parks fans, and it certainly isn't. Honestly, the building looks kind of temporary. Like, this is the Sunset Showcase. It's featured things before McQueen's Racing Academy. It'll feature things afterwards. So, I don't know. Maybe it simply wasn't popular enough for them to justify continuing to run it, and with the new Cars Land on the way, they thought it would be a smarter move to close this down and move McQueen to over there. We'll just have to wait and see. So while I don't really mind the closure of this attraction, I'm upset with how its closure is being handled. The fact that Disney just shadow dropped this, announced it randomly one day, only a month before the show closes, is really upsetting to me. It really does not give people a chance to go on this ride. If you've ever booked a Disney trip, you know it takes longer than 1 month to get everything finalized, you know? You need to have some things booked like months in advance sometimes, and unfortunately that means that people are not going to be able to carve out time in their schedules to go to this ride, you know? I'd love to see this before it closes, but I can't suddenly drop everything and go and have a Disney vacation 3 weeks from now. It's disappointing that this wasn't announced earlier on so that people had a chance to go on this one last time. But perhaps if this wasn't a popular attraction, like I speculated earlier, perhaps that's why. Perhaps they simply didn't think it was worth it to give people a long time to go back to this ride. Regardless, I think no matter what the ride is, you should give people a chance to see it one last time and not announce it a month before it closes. Definitely should have a bigger window of time there. But hey, what's done is done, and honestly, it doesn't really matter all that much to me. It's sad to see this Cars experience go, but it's great to know that we have several more Cars experiences coming to Disney World very soon. I think it's a pretty fair trade-off. Lose one Cars show for an entire Cars area? Yeah, seems like a pretty okay deal to me. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.